That is right. So yeah, and trying to fix simple bugs, and then moving on to something even bigger, new features and stuff. So yeah, I have made a like massive journey. I've even worked as a part of two main projects. One is called Opia, whose main aim was to democratize education, and another is Hopscotch, which is basically an API testing tool. You have all sorts of like features, and you can say that if there's a the next version of Postman, it's definitely Hopscotch. So yeah, I'm currently a member with both of them. I've also worked on some other projects like Rocket Chat, Google AMP, Next.js, and some other like stuff to these are very brief. I have worked with them very briefly. So yeah. Okay, coming on to what exactly open source is. On open source, basically is you can say like the Wikipedia definition tells you that it's basically you are basically working on something which is shared. It's a collaboration between multiple people, and that's our textbook definition of what open source is. But you won't be knowing what open source is unless you actually like see it for yourself. We'll have a like session briefly about what exactly we'll be doing, going through like what exactly you do in open source contributions. So it is a model where where the developers can put their heads together, think about what they're doing, and basically too many cooks spoil the broth, well, that sort of stuff most of the time. And the other times you can actually figure out where the bug is, and you can basically put two and two together and fix them. So that's basically your open source area, a rapid group, a group of random people collaborating for fixing issues, for adding features, and improving software. So how exactly do you make open source contributions? This is made with a concept called pull request, or opening an issue with the and issues can be anything, can be feature requests, can be bug reports, can be anything. Which is they have now GitHub has a dedicated issue tracker for that. We'll come to that. First, let's go through Git, because Git is the basic of all on open source. You know it's like the father of open source, you can say. So Git is basically built by Linux Torvalds back in 2005. It is the premier source control system, which is used in a large number of companies like Google, LinkedIn, and Nutanix, Netflix, and so on. So Git is used worldwide by a large number of companies, and I think it is the most used source control system in the on the globe currently. So now, is Git actually? It's basically a sort of a it's a tool. Rather, it's a tool you use to handle your projects. It's a tool you use along with your projects, and you're basically doing hosting the code online, and collaborating with others with the help of this tool. So that's basically. Now you also have GUI tools made by third-party developers to assist in this. They also accomplish the same thing, but I think it's important that you know about the CLI, because when you're developing, you generally it's a hassle to rotate between multiple screens. And if you don't know the CLI well, it's really going to help you in the future. So coming on to what GitHub is the premier, the whole hosting site for all repositories around the globe. Now there are other competitors in this field as well. Like there's now GitHub is actually contrary to what open source is. I guess GitHub is actually proprietary. It's not only. And now if you are more into open source storage for repositories, there's GitLab, which is a GitHub competitor, which does the same thing. You have repositories, you have issues, you can collaborate with people, and you can host your code there. So yeah, so GitHub is the most important because it's currently owned by Microsoft. And currently, if you're anyone in computer science and you want to basically apply for jobs, you can, the best way is to showcase your GitHub profile. The GitHub profile acts as your portfolio. You can showcase your like projects and all that you have done throughout your course, and that actually shows off your proficiency. GitHub actually comes integrated with Git as the main CLI tool, and the Git can actually sort of runs the main the GitHub. GitHub can act like, you can say that it acts as a shell for the actual thing, and Git is actually the engine which actually drives it. So now moving on to what exactly like you actually you're going to learn a lot, like you're going through. So let's come up with some basic terms, like now what sort of terms you're going to experience. So repository, so what you might be wondering what exactly a repository is. I mentioned this a few hundred times already. Like, so what exactly is this? It's basically a digital storage for the code that you're hosting. So like you can show it anywhere, like these repositories can host anywhere, like from a basic web app that you made a part of your like college projects or school projects, to something very like complicated, like well Opia, like the Opia web app or hopscotch, I mean, yeah. So well guys, this is the code, this houses the code where you collaborate on. How do you collaborate? You basically send PRs. Now you've already heard this term once before. It's called pull request. Now the pull request basically compare. Now Git has a way of comparing the code that you currently have, and basically compares your local copy and the like current state of the like digital repository. If whenever they see a difference, you can basically push the differences to the like repository in the form of a pull request. So that's basically like you're trying to change something in the repository, so you're suggesting that I should change this file or this xyz file. So yeah. So what exactly is an issue? So you're basically can be issues can be anything. As I already mentioned, can be a bug, can be a feature request, can be an enhancement, can be anything. Owners generally use the issue section in GitHub to track these stuff, like which are mostly used for bugs, but you can also use it for enhancements and feature requests. That depends on the owner in question. Now as coming to contributions, for whenever you merge a PR into the repository, you can actually say that you have contributed to the repository. So yeah, you can pat yourself on the back that you have done a pretty good job. That's not it. Like there are other ways to collaborate on open source as well. One of them includes opening issues and raising feature requests. And if you see that you can actually that software or the project actually benefits from that. So like moving on, now I guess we'll be doing some basic of Git. So now we'll go into some basic Git commands. I guess the best way for doing this is for showing you guys. I guess host, I guess I'll need to share my screen if not. If
Yeah, that's fine. I can stop sharing and you can share your screen.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just go through the basic steps you need to go through while So I'll just show you the section that all the stuff I've mentioned. So I'll just quickly share my screen.
Yeah, and guys, one more thing. I know there's a lot of you are hearing about this stuff for the first time, so there's no need to be intimidated by it. It's easier than it looks, and once you see how it works, once you will get the hang of it just fine.
Oh, I guess I forgot to mention Git Clone in there. Anyways, so what Git Clone does is it's a Git. All Git commands start with Git, and when you the word you type after that determines the sort of work it does. Like Git Clone here means it basically clones a repository. It creates a local copy for your the digital repository that is housed somewhere on GitHub or maybe even on GitLab. I'll just clone. So for this showcase, I'll be going through the sample weather app that GDS is very kind to allocate to me. So I'll just go through how to use the issue tracker. Now there's an issue here. I've already opened it actually. you can actually see here that there's an issue here that has been raised, which says yeah, basically asks you to change the temperature color on the weather card. Now we need to find out what the weather card is and how we need to solve that. Let's go into window, and well, window is here. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you. So there's something like this is the temperature text that needs to be changed. Now I'll basically just quickly open the folder, which is window. Okay. Now this is a code editor. I guess most of you are already familiar with it. This is a Visual Studio Code, one of the most popular code editors on the planet. So how do you exactly identify where to make changes? So here the thing is basically very clear that you have to change the color of the temperature text. So in here you have to search for something that actually gives you
Just interrupting. Can you zoom in your VS Code a little bit? It's a bit hazy. It can't be read.
wait a sec. Wait.
Changing the font size should do the trick, I think. Just increase the font size.
Okay, wait a
Should be under settings.
Okay, I'll just
you can just Control plus.
yeah, that should be better. Yeah, does that look better? I guess.
Yeah. It's more
Guys,
visible.
If that's
just write yes in the chat if it's okay now. All right. Yeah, I think it's okay. We can proceed.
Oh, okay. So basically, now you can basically you have to identify which section of the text or basically any file needs to be changed. Here, I basically I go through the index. I find there's something called temp. Now temp basically you can use it for temporary variables or something like temperature. So you get the drift here that the actual author is trying to use the temperature here. Lock is for location. So that's how the actual web app is running here. So you have to basically change the temp. Now I'll just quickly. Now they have a CSS file here, and they are actually using an H1. You can actually use. I can actually make it a change here. Really quick. Something like what? Like let's say blue. If I save it and reload this. Yeah, you can see that the change here, that the change is reflected here because all H1 text. Now obviously I'm not going to go much into why. I mean, there's a temp file, so you can use temp for doing that as well. That's totally fine. I'm just using the H1 directly here, so I'll just do that as well. I mean, this was temp if I'm not wrong, and I'll just. This is a better code practice in general, and I think you should following code practices is a better choice. So let's save this, and still works. So once that's done, you are sure that you are basically done with the change. You can quickly go and tell the guy who resolved the issue that yeah, I have fixed it. One point is important before you work on any change. If it's a small repo, it's okay if you don't pick up issues. But if it's a big repo like OPL, as I mentioned, like or the ones like Google AMP or Next or even Python, the language, like if you're working on something that big, it's better if you actually ask the guy who raised the issue to assign the issue to you, especially if that person is a maintainer for the repository. So now who are maintainers basically take care of the repository and the code and ensure that any PRs that raised by like people don't break the code. So yeah, I'll just go. That's just good etiquette. I mean, you should be following this if you want to make it big. Your behavior plays a big role in open source programs, in the selection in open source programs, and we'll be covering that in detail later. I'll just and then I'll just so now I'll just also go through another git command. It's called git status. So git status shows you the more files which have been modified or which have been added. or which have been deleted. So that's anything which has been modified will be actually shown as modified. In this case, the main.css file has been modified, so it's showing up as modified. So I'll basically do something called add. Now what's add? So whenever you add something, you basically add the git add command adds files to the pull request that you're going to make. So we'll do that really quick. I mean, these are colloquial terms. Actually, git uses uh, tree structure within trees, nodes, and git actually is a huge thing if you want to explore, go into the internals, right? So yeah, I'll just quickly add main.css. Okay, so what's a commit? Commit basically, I guess if you have gone through your database course, you know what a commit is. Commit basically mentions that yeah, I will be adding these changes. I know I'm just saving that sort of locally, so I will be like committing these changes once I set up the PR properly. So you are committing, you are saving those changes sort of. So how exactly do you do that? You can just use the git commit, and you can just name it anyway, like changing the main CSS file. Just name it. Can you go? Can you push? So what is meant by pushing? Pushing actually sends your changes to the remote repository. Remote basically refers to anything that is that you actually push or pull from. Like in this case, this is the repository that I'm working on. So this is where I will be sending my changes. So one thing before you push, generally when like you'll be making a mistake if you push directly. Always make a different branch. I mentioned that Git is a tree, right? So a tree always has branches, right? So that's basically it. You can create your own branch, push your changes, ask your maintainer to review it, and your changes will be reviewed. After that, they might be merged, or the maintainer can ask for some more changes. I'll just quickly make a new branch here. Checkout actually creates a new branch, and you switch to that branch also. Now I can basically, when I push my commits, it will now all of them gets pushed to this remote branch. I guess I guess I forked from the main repo only. I forgot that. I'll just quickly fork that and change my remote. So the issue here is you cannot make changes directly because you're not a collaborator for the project. So what you have to do is you create a clone. You create a clone for that within your own like sort of profile. Make changes there and push it. So now it's definitely now the other thing is you basically check if any changes have been registered here or not. So yeah, I mean I can definitely rebase my changes with here, or I can add ups origin. So this is what exactly is the remote? Remotes are basically point of origin. They basically indicate where exactly the code originated from, and you are basically identifying the origin as your own repo, the copy you've made, because you can, as I mentioned, you cannot make changes directly if you're not a collaborator for the project. So that's what I'm going to do. I just I need to remove that thing, I guess. If I'm not wrong, it's more. Wait. Can quick. I can just quickly just the mistake. Okay, just fresh one. This thing is. Uh, command is git remote if I remember correctly. Anyways, I'll just clone again and show you. Repeat the steps because I made a really stupid mistake of like assuming that I actually am a collaborator for this project. So really sorry for this little interruption. Anyways, not this one. This is the change to yeah. Okay. Change was to them, but I'm changing the color to blue. Yeah. So that's done. Now I can push my changes. CD window, and then I'll just quickly go through the same steps. I'll add the file. I'll need to commit my changes, which is main changed main file and CSS file. Yeah. Now you're going to I forgot. Yeah. Make a branch. Then you push. Yeah, now it's done. So now that now we are back to scratch, you can see that I've pushed some code here, and I'll now need to set up a pull request here. You can already see. I think Soham might need to merge my commands. Changed. Soham, are you there? I think you might need to merge my command. I'll just send it in the PR.
Yeah, I'm there.
To blue. Yeah. Generally you should write a very descriptive part here, like how exactly you are changing it, like and why your change benefits the file, what sort of bugs you're fixing. You can either you should write it like in the text and a detailed description here. I'll just create a pull request really quickly, and then that will actually be reflected here only. Yeah. So I've opened a PR and now you can see that the PR has been updated, and now there's currently a PR open. The change has been made from my remote. This is the branch that I've created while I've pushed it. And now, so what LGTM means is LGTM actually means looks good to me. The full form is looks good to me. Whenever a maintainer writes that, it means that they're fine with those changes, and they can actually like merge. If there are multiple maintainers who are reviewing that, everyone has to generally give the LGTM tag before they can actually merge it. So yeah, one I guess who's the maintainer? Swami, you're the maintainer. I guess you have to merge it. Yeah. So both of them, both Obito and Encode, they are the maintainer. They have both given LGTM. So once that's done, they can actually merge it.
I think
Now,
Supratik has to do that. Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
Second,
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
just do that.
Obito has done.
Obito has done that. So once the commit is
Yeah.
like merged, yeah. So then that means you can actually check that the pull requests are closed. So closed pull request. When you see this icon, it means your changes have been integrated into the digital repository, and you can see your changes here as well. You can see my changes here, the change I've made to it. So that's basically, this is the gist of whatever you're going to be doing as part of open source. And basically throughout your like computer science career, you're going to be doing this throughout, right? Throughout your life, like through whatever job you work on, you're going to be needing Git, and this is what you're going to be doing. So I guess if that makes sense, we'll go back to the PPT. So I think you might need to share.
Can you share the PPT? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so
Is this the right slide?
No. I think we need to go to the next one, because like I guess we have covered more or less. You can you can go back to like I can like cover the remaining commands. Like
Sure.
I guess yeah. So we have gone through add, commit, remote, push. We haven't gone through branch. So branch is basically checkout, but you're not switching to that branch. You're basically creating a branch. You know it's there, but you're not switching to it. You basically create a branch and be done, you're done with it, right? Fetch basically, so fetch is actually done when you fetch changes from the like report. Let's say like your repository has other people working on it, and some people actually like have changed something which you don't have in a local copy. So you fetch the code, and you basically now once that fetch, you basically merge that. The merge command is basically the next one. Now the merge command, for the merge command, you will need like to mention the branch which you need to merge with and the branch which you're merging from. So once that's done, you will be, so there are two, like I guess one more command which I haven't mentioned, which is git pull. Git pull actually kind of like, you can say, does this like it quickly pulls the remote changes and merges within your local repository. I mean, it might kind of sign like the fetch and merge together. It's a bit different, but for now, you might assume that they are the same. They are the same. Like they are basically an agglomeration of the fetch and merge going together. Check out, I've already mentioned that it's basically branch, but you switch to that branch only. So yeah, I can go over. Or if I mention Git init basically, so there are some projects that like which are not part of Git, right? Which doesn't have a Git config. Now, what Git config is, you basically initiate the nodes, the tree. As I mentioned, Git is a tree, right? So you have to build the tree first, right? You have to build the root. So Git init basically does that for you. You basically build up from there, you build the root, and you can continue doing that. So okay, so why exactly should you be like doing this, and how exactly should you start out, right? And why would you even care about open source? Like open source is kind of the thing is, you don't need it for like interviews, you don't need it. It's good to have, but you don't really need it. So why exactly would you do it? So you basically get when you're working with open source, let's say you're learning a language like JavaScript, Python, and anything else, the best way to like master it is to like contribute to some projects which actually have that language in their technology stack. So you can pick up anything which is easy, and issue which is easy. Try to see if you can solve it. If you can solve it and code properly in it, that means you are getting some sort of like the knowledge about the language that you're working with. So yeah, I mean that's basically how you gain some experience with the languages. You also get to work with folder structures, some project structures which you need to be aware of. I guess most of you have heard about React if you're working in anywhere on web development. So React is basically a library. It's a very popular front-end library that you use for developing single page web applications. So React, when you're working with React has a particular structure for their projects, right? Angular won't have the same structure. Angular has a different structure entirely. And so what exactly is the difference? That it's a folder structure, the project structure, the directory structure itself, everything is different. So yeah, you get a kind of exposure. You can basically you get to identify issues when you're racking your brains up. You're basically I identified the issue was in this demonstration that the temp variable needed to be changed. Not the variable, it's more like the ID, the node in the DOM tree which is called temp. You're changing that, but how do you exactly identify that? I mean, you just pushing hours into open source, identify like you can some good first issues to work on and continue working on. Yeah, so you can also get to, like, as I mentioned, as you already seen, you now Obito and Soham, sort of reviewed my code. You will be working with a large number of reviewers when you are in a tech career, right? So if you can start early, that's definitely helps you a lot. So that's definitely something. And lastly, you get swag. So yeah, if you can, like, one example is Hacktoberfest, which I will be covering. And Hacktoberfest gives you a t-shirt, and you can also donate your like contributions to, I guess, grow a number of trees. So yeah, that's it. And there are other like repositories also. There's Kong, there's Gatsby. If you contribute to these repositories for fix issues with them, then you'll basically get some swag. Yeah, so what exactly, but how exactly does it help your career? So there are open source internships. Like I have graduated from the open source internship called the GitHub externship, which is being held. My, incubating, then GitHub is actually holding that. So for there actually it's a India specific event. We also have Shogoto in the like panel, who actually has been a part of Google Summer of Code this year. So and when you're working when you're working with in open source internships like this, you basically get to add a lot of value to your resume. And if you make really neat changes to the the repositories that you're working with, if you're working with some big projects and you're actually managing your code perfectly, then I know in some companies actually see that, like Red Hat, HackerRank, Paytm, they actually see what sort of open source contributions you're actually doing. So yeah, and the other companies, like I guess Google and Microsoft, they even like watch out for your open source ventures. So if you can go into it, it's certainly recommended. And you should, if you're working hard on your open source projects, there you are bound to get some candidates which will turn up. They will basically they will ask you to give you some career opportunities like internships or even permanent jobs if you're serious about it. Yeah, so that's basically it. So now I guess what are the sort of stuff that you're getting here, if you're I guess so that's some popular open source programs that actually is very popular in this community. One is Google Summer of Code. I guess everyone has heard of this one. There's outreach as well. These are the most popular ones, I guess, by far. So Google Summer of Code is I guess 6 weeks of coding. You get to work on some open source projects that are selected as part of this venture by Google, and you basically have to pass multiple code reviews from Google, from the mentors and stuff. I guess Shogoto can talk some more about the selection processes of these open source programs and how they go on. So Shogoto, if you can please elaborate.
Uh, Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, hello everyone. I am Shogata Das from CSC department, third year. This year I have contributed in Google Summer of Code about GShock in under Schoolab organization. So I'll talk about little bit info about what is Google Summer of Code, what's the benefit of it, and what's that like how to apply in GShock. Okay, so basically, GShock is a global program organized by Google for the students. To mainly the main focus is to introduce them about like open source community, open source project, and open source other platforms. So it is mainly a 10 weeks program. Basically starts from I guess end of May to September. September like.
Shogoto, can you come a bit closer to the mic?
Am I not audible? Hello.
Yeah, you're audible to me, but I think someone in the chat is can't hear you. Is it fine now? Yeah, it's okay. You can continue.
Okay. So I guess, yeah. So the application period starts from mid of March. So you can apply as basically three way as a contributor, or also you can apply as a mentor. And also if you are a part of an organization or a member of an organization, you can also apply as a BF of your organization also. Okay, so there will be mainly when the application period starts, you have to mainly focus on the project proposal, because the 10 weeks journey you will be get selected on the proposal itself. If the organization mentors or admin find that your proposal meets the requirements, they will send you a mail and you can now work along with them. So now in the proposal, you have to mention mainly the 3-4 points, like about yourself, like you have to mention all about like from which college you are, like what's your tech stack, what you are interested in, and also you have to mention your timeline, because it is a 10-week program. So you can also have to mention that in the first week I'll do this, or second week I'll do that. Also, if you have any exam between that, you should mention in this time period also. So after, if you get selected, you will get a mail, or if you get rejected also, you will also get a mail in the end of May. So after getting the mail, the community bonding period starts. So in what community bonding period is, here you have to contact with your mentors or other organization admin or other members who are currently enrolled in that organization. Talks about their project, like what's your idea, suggest something, suggest new feature, or you can find some bug, also mention them, like mention their like channel, like contact channel, like they also have guitar, or also they also, you can also communicate with their mails also. Okay, so in this period you have to mainly focus on exploring the project part, like what's the code base. There goes the community bonding period. Now next is first coding session. Here you have to follow the timeline. I have previously mentioned that you have to put the timeline in your proposal. So in this project part, in this coding part, you have to follow those timeline. If you mention that I'll create this issue, so you have to generally follow all about this. And next comes the evaluation part. In evaluation part, mentors check that if you like meets the requirements or not, if you had like contributed enough or not. So if you like really passed, second coding period, second coding phase, or if you like have not met the requirements, you'll be rejected and you cannot continue further. Okay, the second coding period is same, and the final coding period will also, the mentors and organization admin will check that if you have performed well or not. So on the basis of that, they will give the recommendation or like the review about what you have done, what you have to improve. So about basic all about thing. So I'll suggest that you should have a decent knowledge before applying this. You have to learn the basic commands that Arkadyuti mentioned earlier, like what is like git, push, pull, whatever, and all the other command. You have to put grasp of about all of that command, and also you have to know the tech stack you are applying. Maybe you are from web development field or app developer or machine learning enthusiast. You have the knowledge about like if you are applying for a React project, you have the basic knowledge about React, HTML, CSS, about kind of all about that. So before applying that, you should also contribute in their organization. Maybe there is also I have contributed in School Lab. Arkadyuti also mentioned that he's contributed in OPIA. So you have to like priorly like create an issue or submit pull request. If the organization is old, you have to like contact with your mentors also, review your proposal also, all about that. So now after the final evaluation, if you successfully complete, they will like send a review about your work, and they also give a certificate from Google. You will receive a certificate from Google. It has a lot of value. You can also mention this in your resume. It will impact your like in your job application also. Also, they will give you 1500 USD as a stipend also. So there goes the all about GShock and all about. I will like mention the link in the chat. You can just visit and like explore the project and the organization. You can also put your question in Q&A and also our Discord channel. That's all about GShock, and I'll like hand over the mic to the Arkadyuti to carry over the session.
Thanks for the like talk, Shogata. So I guess that's a very detailed talk on how like you can make the process is similar for all organizations, and you can basically like expect like even for the GitHub externship. Don't worry, we will leave links. We'll leave links. Don't worry. And so let's talk about the festival which is coming up, the open source festival. What exactly is like the festival about? Hacktoberfest. Hacktoberfest is an open source festival. It basically celebrates everyone new, like people like you, basically, who want to get into open source and who want to select. So it basically celebrates these people. So you can register in the link, using the link. And also one thing, you need to attach your GitLab or GitHub. So yeah, once you're done, and you can basically like start contributing, and your basically contributions will be mapped to the the account, the DigitalOcean account that you have. I guess some people who have worked with web development and already know about Jira, and that's sort of their product. So yeah, so you can kind of a like, not exactly a warning. Well, there have been instances in the past that I've noticed that in Hacktoberfest, like people actually do some sort of spam PRs, right? So it's important that you don't do that. Like you actually need to find out good issues, and you need to get started with them. Now I guess we did miss the slide for like how to start with like the open source. So so basically I've shown you a brief demo. That's how you basically do it, and follow like contribute. But how where do you exactly find projects from? Yeah, I guess you can find projects from like up for grabs, good first issue, code triage. I recommend up for grabs because that's the easiest for now. Code triage is a bit difficult for people like you because you're starting out. Always search for the tag of good first issue. That generally means you will have the most the easiest stuff to contribute with, and you can get some easy contributions in. Once you are feeling like, yeah, things are working for me, you can continue with like solving more and more complex problems. So, as you have already you have seen the like my you have seen my screen. I've scrolled through the issues section. You'll find all issues there in any project. You should solve problems. And so coming back to like the Hacktoberfest, like do's and don'ts. I actually mentioned that because like I guess a lot of people from our institute also have been doing like this stuff. Like they have been making stuff, spamming PRs, like changing the README and stuff. So don't if you want to make the changes in the README, ask someone first. Ask a maintainer if I should maintain if I can make that change. Yeah, just open an issue and tell them that there is an issue there, and let's say maybe there's an instruction which is wrong, and can I change it? If you are changing it, then if any person who is maintaining it comes and says yes, you can do it, please do it there, and you can ask for the issue to be assigned to you. If the issue is assigned to you, you can continue working on that. This is one of the main important stuff that that gets you selected in any open source program as well. The etiquette you describe throughout your open source journey. So yeah, please maintain a decorum. And I guess Hacktoberfest is the best time for you guys to start up. So Hacktoberfest is starting within the next month. So if you guys want to get into those open those programs, you can start with like contributions through Hacktoberfest only. And as I mentioned, there's a cool t-shirt if you guys are interested. So yeah, the best thing is you can study the project. You can identify issues with it, that you can identify your own issues, raise them, and then solve them. Or you can like do the easier path of like solving an already existing issue. Or always ask the maintainers before you do it. Never rush changes. Always check your commits. Always check your changes before you do it. You can get the code messed up pretty badly if you don't check your changes. And of course, open source is not a competition. You should not be competing with others for solving a problem. You can, if you see that someone is already solving a problem which you want to solve, just go and help that person out. That like, yeah, I think making this change should do the trick. So and if you do so, so that actually shows how, sort of how well mannered you are. It actually shows up well before the maintainers. So yeah, kind of. So okay, I guess
What the is basically saying, do it just for the t-shirt, right? Do it to contribute to the community, do it to
yeah,
learn something, right? That's the big
definitely you should be learning in like there's no end to learning. I know that, but I mean open source is a pretty good way for you to learn actually, like how to code. I guess that brings us to sort of the end of our presentation. And I guess I can take up a few questions there. So I guess a lot of you have questions, I can see that. So okay,
so let's do something. Everyone in the panel can come on to this stage, and then we can just take some questions from the Q&A. We are going to be looking at the Q&A chat only, so please put your questions in the Q&A chat.
yeah.
So Arkadyuti, I can read out some questions for you.
Yeah, please.
Sure. Someone asks, how can I find a new repo?
As I mentioned, Up for Grabs is a pretty good website to get started with, and you can like go anywhere else. Like you can basically search for good first issues directly on GitHub, and try to see if you can solve these issues. Or good first issues or dev is always there to help you out. I mean, I've like pasted the links. Don't worry, you will get the links. You'll get the links, and you can like go through them, go through the issues, go through the projects. And as for like if you're talking, I guess someone also asked about GShock, like how to find projects for GShock, but I don't see it in the Q&A.
In the normal chat, it was in general.
Okay, so I guess there is a link which is what concepts or knowledge is required for Hacktoberfest. There's nothing like you need to be passionate about coding. That's it. Just know how to code. I mean, and if you need some more guidance, telescopes, open source programs, I mean, the videos that is made, it's a 5 video list that can prove pretty helpful. And I mean, if you need additional like information on what these commands do, and the details, like how exactly do they work, the internals behind the Git. So yeah, and how so.
Yeah, and all the links and resources that have been mentioned in the presentation today will be posted in Discord after the session. So, and in the description of the YouTube video as well. So you can check them out from there.
So I'll just pick some more questions. What language to start with? There's no language I mean, there's no language you can start with. Like, you can contribute in any language. There are C++ projects, there are Python projects, there are Java projects, pretty much anything. So, and so see, and if you're working with like I guess if you want to have a large range of projects you want to contribute to, JavaScript or Python actually like is the best option you have. Anyone is perfectly fine. Anyone. And if you want, like, if you like, I don't think this is valid for this panel, but if you want to learn JavaScript, I guess Akshay Saini's course on YouTube is a pretty valid way to start off, and you can explore afterwards. You can basically do some open source work and get started off. And should we contribute to open source while learning? You can contribute to open source anytime. You can contribute anytime. Like it's not while learning. You can contribute even while working as well, anytime. You just need to have that zeal. Are we going to have any repo for this Hacktober? I guess
So basically yeah, sure. So basically we do have plans to have a repo by GDSC RCCIIT for Hacktoberfest. We are still working on it, and we will announce it very soon. If just keep tuned in in the Discord, and
for the updates, and yeah,
you get the updates there. So yeah,
I think I would like to address one thing. So when you're starting off with open source, you might come across very large repos, okay? Repos with proper structure and things you have never seen before. Let's say you go to a repo, you see a CI/CD pipeline. You might not even have heard of CI/CD, and that might scare you. But the idea is to not be scared, okay? Just focus on the small things. It is not your job to understand how the entire repo works or how each line of code is described, okay? Even the maintainers don't know. The maintainers are divided into chunks who maintain a particular part of the repo. So do not think that you will understand the entire repo with just one day of contribution. Just focus on the particular issue you're trying to work on and just laser it. Okay, just laser beam that particular issue. Don't try to understand anything more. Just whatever works in fixing that issue. That is how you approach big repos. You don't have to understand everything. Keep that in mind, okay?
I mean, the basic concept is abstraction. You know only that it works, but not how it works. If it was like if that's a example to get you started. So I only know some basics of C. How can I start learning? There's not like if you're getting started, like choose some basic. I guess if you're talking about C, there are some like less circuit verse which works with C. I guess it might be a kind of big project for you, but there are projects like which actually implement programs with like a MIPS processor, something like that. You can get started with those stuff, like work which actually like hardware stuff if you're interested in like architecture. So that's all. Python, you have a lot of scope in Python. you just need to like there are a lot of projects in Python. My OPI itself works in Python. The backend is itself written in Python. If you like, if you actually get wanted wanted to get started with a big repo, if you want smaller repos, you can always search good first issues .dev. That's the way to go. If you just to we suggest some websites for learning languages. YouTube is your best bet. And I guess GDSC will also conduct some boot camps on different languages. So I guess Supati can take that up.
Yeah, so of course, YouTube is an amazing resource. You can find a lot of very good quality content for free over there. So Free Code Camp is a very good platform to learn new languages and frameworks. And apart from this, yes, the club is going to have some boot camps and some sessions on a number of languages and platforms as well. So yeah, learning. I mean, resources are everywhere. Basically, in this day and age, you don't have to pay for learning anything really. So just yeah, if you want a resource for a particular language, if you want to learn a particular language, you can ask any of us in Discord, and we'll send you a link to a good video. So yeah, you can do that. I think someone else asked, what are tools? I think he means CLI tools.
Yeah, CLI tools.
So
I think I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, CLI
Go ahead.
tools, as you know by the name, it's command line interface tools. So these tools are built for, when you're working with a GUI, you have a lot of things to worry about. CLI tools, they just work. They're blazing fast. They have a few flags you can set, some parameters you can give, and they just work. So Git is one of the most popular CLI tools, which is used for version control. We have talked about it. I think that should answer your question. Also, coming to one of the questions, Pranay Debnath asked, which programming language should I learn for Git and GitHub? Okay, for Git, you don't need to learn any programming language. I would only suggest that you start working with a Linux machine because it is going to help you do a lot of stuff in the future. And you will get used to the command line pretty quickly. For GitHub, you can choose any language of your choice. GitHub hosts various languages. You can find Rust, Golang, then Haskell, even COBOL, I guess. So if you're fine and you're strong in one language, you can pretty easily find issues for that particular language.
Right. So Sambit is asking, what is an externship?
So I'll take that up. So externship is basically like it's structured in internship only. So why it's called an externship? Basically, it's like like in an internship you're working with proprietary stuff, basically source code which you are not allowed to expose to the world. And in the externships, you're basically working with code that is exposed to the world, right? Like you're working with on open source. So yeah, so I mean you're working on open source repositories which are popular and which have a lot of maintainers and which are being used by a lot of people. So that's basically what an externship. I guess GitHub externship is not the only one. There's Fosacia as well. There are other stuff like Julia. The Julia devs actually host something, and there.
So basically, if you want to stay updated about this kind of opportunity externships, I'd suggest you keep a lookout on LinkedIn, because a lot of these things are posted on LinkedIn by a lot of people, influencers, and they share a lot of this stuff. So I think that's the best place you can come to know about this kind of stuff.
So I guess Devanjali is asking what is a repo. Repo is basically the short form for the repository. As I already have shown you, all the projects are structured as repositories only. They are basically stored the code that you store on the cloud. So there is a version which you clone to your disk which you work on, and a version you store on the cloud. Like the cloud in this case is GitHub, and you basically store it there so that you can refer to it later on.
Okay, so I think Audrita is asking, can you tell us what knowledge is required for Hacktober? So I think we went over this a little bit before, that you don't need to be an expert by any means at anything. Basic programming knowledge in any language is good enough to start contributing. You just have to find a good project that you seem to be passionate about and just get started. Just do it. I mean, there's no rocket science behind it. So I
Will like
think,
to just add one more thing, Supratik.
sure.
I see a common theme that if you're trying to contribute to open source, you definitely need to know a programming language. This is 100% not true. You can also contribute to open source by improving documentation for pre-existing projects. I think we missed out on this, but Google also has a program similar to Google Summer of Code. It's called Google Season of Docs. So in this one, you just contribute by improving documentation of existing projects, and you also have collaborations with the mentors and the uh, people who maintain the projects, maintainers, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kosova's recommended programming language for GShock.
So Shogoto, would you like to pick that up?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, it doesn't matter which programming language you choose. You have to have the interest to contribute in open source. You can start with C++, C. There is project for that. Also, you can, if you're like want to love to do designing and stuff, front end, you can also contribute with HTML, CSS only. Also, there is some project also there, but you have that like decent knowledge about that. Like if you only know that front end, you have to decent knowledge about what is HTML, like how to code it, and the basic designing skill. And if you like want to like contribute in like any language, Python, there is also a repo called project called About Code organization. That's organization actually. You can also find many organization, and under that organization there is many kind of project. Like there is also some front end related project, also back end related. Also there is a basic on, if you will share the link, you can find all the project list there. You can just there is a search option. You can search React or JavaScript or Node.js, and there you will get the all the list about all the project like you want. And I says that you should choose this organization and project carefully, because after getting selected, you have to touch with this organization for the 10 weeks. So if you like not interested, it will affect your like in that period. So we'll have a like link in Discord, or also I'll share the link in chat. You can find this organization. So you can the main thing is you can just start with any language you want. A beginner, for beginner friendly, like Arkadyuti suggested that you should start with JavaScript and Python, because there is more project on open source on about that language. Also, you can I should recommend you can start with C or Java. And if you learn those language, it will not matter. Like the other language will take less than like 1 month or 2 months. If you know C or Java, you can learn Python, then JavaScript, and like go on like that.
Right, so Prapti is asking, Dada, I only know some basics of C, Java, and Python. How can I start learning? So Orkoda, you can take this one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you know the basics, you're good enough. Just start experimenting with. Just build small projects. Build like something like a temperature converter. Build something like that. Get started like, and keep exploring. You can like then move on. If you are interested in the web, build a small web app. Then just start trying to build a small scale website. Keep exploring. If you're interested in the software side of things, build a small software, something like if you're starting out, something like a small game, grid based game, and you can basically keep exploring. That's it. I guess there's another
Basically, the more
GShock
you write,
question.
the more just adding on to whatever Orkoda said. Just
it's all about writing more code. The more you write, the more problems you will encounter, and you will be forced to solve those problems, and that's how you learn. So just keep writing more code. That's it. I know jQuery instead of JavaScript, but the code becomes small. So am I on the right track?
Soham, Soham, you can take this up if you don't mind.
Yeah. So actually, it like you can find projects on anything like the open source language, anything. I mean, if it doesn't matter if it is like JavaScript or Python or jQuery. I mean, jQuery deals more of like with the web dev part or like that thing. So you can always find projects regarding that, and you can contribute to that. So yeah.
Pranay, which programming language should I learn for Git and GitHub? We already went over this one. You can start with any programming language. It's up to you. JavaScript is a really popular one, and but yeah, you can start with anyone. It's up to you. I started with Flutter a month back. I am confused. Should I proceed with cross-platform development with Flutter, or native development is preferred? Anyone can take this.
Again, so I mean, you should.
Yeah. This is your domain, Shom.
Yeah, so actually you can continue with Flutter, and there are quite a lot of opportunities revolving around Flutter, and more opportunities are evolving in the field. But currently, like you can proceed with the native app development, but also keep a watch out on the like PWAs. I mean the progressive web apps, which like pretty much does the job of a web app as well as a native app. So you can look out for that.
Right. So you can take the question if you want, Arkadyuti.
Which one?
Sir, don't call us sir, man. Come on. We're all just students. I saw a lot of people doing this as well. Yeah. So yeah, just please call us Dada or whatever. Don't call us sir. So how do you choose which field you want to work on, be it AI/ML or web dev or cybersecurity?
I mean, you should be exploring, right? If you're just in your first year, just explore now. Like, do everything. See what works for you. That's pretty.
Like I would give my example. I started off with AI/ML in class 11 and 12. I was not that great at maths. I lost interest in my first year. I was doing absolutely nothing, checking out random stuff. So trust me, I was as clueless as you all. In my second year, I watched Mr. Robot, and that series kind of stuck with me. And I came into the world of hacking, and now this is my career path right now. So just keep exploring, trying out different things. I bet a certain something will stick with your heart and will resonate with your personality, and you will go on with it.
Because there are some like some people are asking about the Discord link.
Okay, I'll put the Discord link in the chat. Just a second.
And so, I guess there's another question for like, should we pick a particular organization with whom we want to work with for GShock? So you can take that.
Right. Yeah, just a second. I put the Discord link in the general chat, so you can join the Discord from there. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Sure, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, can I repeat the question? I haven't. I sorry, lost about it. Can you repeat the question?
Yes.
Pick a particular organization with whom we want to work with for GSOC.
Yeah, actually, for a student, you can maximum send maximum three proposal. So I'll suggest you guys that you should focus on one organization, because the proposal part matters the most. Your journey will decide on that proposal. So I suggest that you should stuck with an organization, and you can also have a backup, like other organization also you can have a backup part, but you should stuck with an organization. I guess it's right now. Arkadyuti.
Yeah, I mean, I was working on OPA for the same reason as well. I didn't make it to GShock this year because like the project that I was working on was scrapped at the last moment because they decided to go ahead with the other projects as they were more they had a higher priority to over the ones that I was working on. So yeah. And that can happen, that though this stuff like this can definitely happen, and you need to be like having a backup in case like something happens like that.
I think
so
missed
Jashmita is asking.
one question. Yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
Sorry.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
we missed a question.
So while learning C++, sometimes when I encounter part of code that doesn't work, I mean, that's a story of every software developer, or that's a day in the life, basically. So yeah, I think if you're using VS Code, there are a lot of debugging tools that you
Yes,
can,
yes, yes.
can make use of. So yeah, you just have to try and see what works. There's no easy way to debug. Yeah, it happens, and you can go over it again, make some changes, see what works, and yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah, please use GDB. People do not use it enough.
Yeah. Okay, this is fine. As a beginner, how should I start Git and GitHub? You go to the website and take a look at the documentation. That is the most informative place. I think you can learn about it. And Arkadyuti, anything else?
I mean, I basically showed you a demo of what you're going to do. Like, this is not only for open source; you're going to do that throughout your career, right? So, I mean, going through documentation is basically what you're going to do, and some other like stuff, like they're going to be some other stuff. You're going to come across much conflicts and stuff. And for that, you need to be a bit creative in solving problems. You just need to have a cool head and stuff. So yeah. Ashok can add something on March conflicts if he wants to.
March conflicts. Okay. March conflicts will arise in your open source career. Do not be scared of them. Figure out where the conflicts are and try to resolve them ASAP, or your PR might get declined.
Right. So Devduti is asking, Dada, I don't know any language, so can I participate?
I mean, you need to know the basics, just the basics of any language, and I mean, you're only in your first year, right? So you can try and explore right now. So yeah, pick up something. There's JavaScript and Python if you really want to work on a diverse range of projects. If you want to work on something like a bit niche, there's Java as well. Java is very good in the industry right now. So yeah.
Basics of language include it would probably be syntax, variables, loops, conditional statements, and all that. No? Very basic stuff. Should I start with Java first? It depends what you want to start with. You can almost start with anything, but yeah, there is no hard and fast rule what you should start with. If you feel like Java is your language of choice, go ahead. Why are there so many languages? Because each language is designed in such a way that it caters to a specific need. Let's say C for embedded systems, C++ and C# for GUI and game development, JavaScript for web development, and all that. So each language has a niche, and if it resonates with you, go learn that language.
Yeah, I think we are so best
Editor, Android Studio, or VS for mobile app development. So you can take this one.
So the base language, I mean, you can just like, if you are going for the mobile app development, then you can go with like Java or the the Flutter or anything of the sort. And if you are talking about the like editors, then I would prefer like Android Studio, and also like VS Code. Yeah, like both does a pretty decent job.
There is one question. Is there any language that is not famous yet and has opportunities in near future? Don't know about famous, but I think one of the languages which is top upcoming ones is Golang. It's by Google and people are not using it enough. Go give it a try. It's insane.
Okay, Dada. So if I just know the basics, can I participate actively in any event? I mean, if you're talking about Hacktoberfest or any other,
I think you can. It should be fine. Maybe not Google Summer of Code. You need
a little more in depth in there, but and like it should be fine. Basics are good enough. You can participate. It'll be good. You'll have a good experience there.
Also, there is a open source program like I have just heard about it. Girl script winter of code and girl script summer of code. It is also like beginner friendly. You can guys can check it out and participate also.
Uh, I think there's a question. Difference between hacking and developing. So the simple thing is, in developing, you develop something out of scratch. A developer's job is to make something work and make it easy for the end user to use. And for a hacker, it's not about building stuff. It's breaking into it and finding unintended functionalities in that application. Okay. So that is the difference between the mindset of a developer and a hacker.
Right. Do we have any new questions?
I mean,
Uh,
we do. We have almost 5 questions.
What's the most
Right.
suitable language for competitive coding? I think probably C++.
Shogato,
Yeah.
you want to say something here?
Yes, you can definitely like start with C++, but also you can go with Java. Like it doesn't matter which language you choose, but I will say that you should go with C++ or Java.
Tutorials, books, or open source project, which one is the best way of learning any language? Okay, so the learning method for different people vary from obviously, because nobody's built same. Some might like reading books, you can call them bookworms. People like me, I absolutely do not read any book. I just go to YouTube and just watch the video at 2x speed. And some people like to develop stuff while they're learning. So if just figure out what you like, right? Like, what is the most productive way of learning for you? Learn to learn. Learning is pretty easy. You have to learn to learn. That's the thing.
Right. Rajoshi is asking, is learning any one language enough for any coding field or organization? Arkadyuti, you can take this.
Okay, so if you're learning any one language, I mean, as Shogot already mentioned, Java and C++ is pretty good for competitive coding already. I don't think you should use Python. You have a huge disadvantage while working with Python because Python is an interpreter unlike the others. So other than that, you're fine with any other language. But if you're talking about like the stuff like the GShock, Outreachy, MLH Fellowship, you're fine with Python. You're not only fine, I think Python gives you some of the most opportunities you can get. Not only Python, there's JavaScript as well. I mean, if you're eager to learn, but I guess you have more materials for Python nowadays. So
Orko, there's a
Yeah.
question for you. Which language is best for web developing?
I guess Soham should take that one.
Okay, over to Soham then.
Yeah, so currently there are quite a lot of like languages which are I mean there are always a lot of languages available for the domain, but currently React is doing a pretty good job, and after that Next.js is coming to the scene, and yeah, you can check out that one. And there are the other languages which you can explore is Vue.js. Apart from that, you can also like, I mean, yeah, these all are pretty good.
What else do we have? Uh,
Where can I start to learn Java? I think once again, YouTube is a good place to start learning anything. So you can check out videos by channels like FreeCodeCamp, Derek Banas, and Traversy Media, stuff like that. They're really good channels, and you can start learning from there.
is learning any one language enough for any competitive coding field or
We
any
addressed
organization?
this. We've
Oh,
addressed this one.
okay.
Please suggest some YouTube channels. Okay, so what we'll do is after the session, we're going to post some of the channels which are very resourceful in the Discord server. Let's post it in the web and app team resources channel. I think that should be good enough. Yeah, so we'll post it there. You can check it out from there. If I want to continue with hacking, how to start learning?
I think I will not pick up hacking related questions in this session because it is totally out of topic. I'm sitting right there on Discord, GDSC Discord server in Lounge. If you have any questions, just hop in and ask me directly. I'm willing to answer there. Because if I start with cybersecurity, the questions are going to be flooded. Don't want that.
Okay, so I think we have covered all the questions that we had today. Do we have any new questions?
No, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So all of you for joining in and staying for this long. This was probably the longest session that we've done. So once again, thank you, Arkadyuti, for agreeing to do this. It's great to have you here. And maybe we'll see you again for another session sometime in the future. So yeah, absolutely.
And the pleasure is all mine. And I'm eager to see you guys contribute to Hacktoberfest.
Yep, absolutely. So we are going to be making a new category for Hacktoberfest related conversations in Discord as well. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of discussions, a lot of all your doubts can be cleared over there in the future as well. So, all right, we're going to conclude the session now. Thank you so much for joining, and do drop in for the next one.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.